are platforms like Twitter taking down content in a bad faith circumstance? What YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter want to be is they want to be a forum. Did you violate these rules? And if you did, then the FTC can, impose penalties. So what is Section 230? Section 230 is a law that was passed in the late 90s. Long time ago, translation. Basically, paragraph C is what everyone talks about here. And it's basically this kind of blanket protection for content platforms. So if I'm YouTube and someone posts content, a video that infringes, say it infringes on music IP or a movie studio's IP, that movie studio, that music label can't sue YouTube. YouTube isn't liable for infringing content to be put onto YouTube's website. That is the main protection Section 230 affords to these platforms. They call them information content providers, and they say you're not responsible for the content put on your site. Okay, because you are not editorial, you are not a publisher, right? It makes a distinction between kind of being a forum or being a publisher. If you are a publisher, you're responsible. There's libel laws. If you are, infringing on IP laws, you can get sued and be liable. If you're a forum or you're this kind of information content provider, internet service provider, this is saying you're not liable for infringing content. But it does provide the mechanism for these content platforms to take down content or block content called offensive material. Really creates these two big distinctions. Either you're a publisher or you are a neutral kind of like forum, basically a content platform, right? And so what YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter want to be is they want to be a forum. They say that we are acting in good faith under Section 230C, and we are only taking down offensive material. Now, what does offensive material mean? So it's this section here, Section 2 of this paragraph C. Any action voluntarily taken in good faith, this is key, I'm going to come back to that in a second, to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable. So basically, this was put into place to take down porn. And it said, well, hey, you're a content platform. You're not liable for this content that's being posted to your site, but we still want you to be able to take down porn, YouTube, because we don't want our kids to see porn. But that doesn't mean that you're a publisher, YouTube, right? You're not taking kind of editorial decisions here. You're not a media firm, right? So you still don't have the liability if you have infringing content, but you can take down bad or harmful content. And it was really designed to prevent porn from going on the internet. That was where this all came. I think this was passed in 96, 24 years old. So what this executive order is doing is it's doing two things. It is having the FCC investigate this idea of good faith. And so here's a little YouTube video from the FCC commissioner recently describing what his agency is going to go and do.
So some people say, oh, great, if you get on this path, well, you send a tweet and Twitter will then send it in the queue for 8 days while it reviews it before it sends out. That's not where this is going to end up, because Twitter goes out of business if that's where this ends up. Again, there's a line in the sand that's already been drawn by Congress. Good faith conduct gets 230 protections. Bad faith doesn't get 230 protections. There's just been not a lot of clarity about that line. So that's really narrowly what we're talking about. But of course, the rhetoric just swamps the thing that we're actually talking about, and it becomes a fight about the First Amendment when it's not a fight about the First Amendment. Everybody keeps their First Amendment rights. This is about, does this one set of actors get 230 protections, congressional debate, or what does that 230 line in the sand that Congress has already drawn really mean in today's day and age?
What the FCC commissioner says is that they're going to look at this idea of good faith versus bad faith. Are platforms like Twitter taking down content that in a bad faith circumstance, right? So, for example, to kind of alter public opinion or have any kind of political gain, these kinds of things. The other thing here is what the FTC is going to do.
It would be the Federal Trade Commission in this circumstance. This platforms have not only gone to Congress and publicly represented that They don't do moderation for partisan political purposes. They have terms of services as well. And so, like any other business in this country, they are defining their terms of service, and that means something. And you need to be held accountable if you are, blowing through your terms of service just to get at people you don't like. I kind of thought about this in the book A Man for All Seasons. And you had William Roper, I believe it was, who said, I'm going to knock down every single tree, every single law in the land of England to get at my enemy. And Sir Thomas More said, when you've knocked down every single one of them, and then the devil turns around for you, where are you going to go for protection? And that's the case here. If Twitter can just completely disregard its terms of service to go after the president because they don't like the president, fine, don't like the president, then what happens when they decide to go after you? What happens when they decide to go after your viewpoint? I mean, these are platforms that people are building significant economic activity on. And if YouTube one day said, you know what, you are completely abiding by our terms of service, but we're going to kick you off anyways. I think that's just a business practice that fits in the unfair or deceptive business practice realm that the FTC could look at.
What the FTC is going to do is going to look at the terms of service for these platforms, and it's going to say, hey, hey, Facebook, hey, Twitter, these were your rules about what is infringing content and about your policy to, say, ban a user from using Facebook or Twitter. And did you violate these rules? And if you did, then the FTC can, impose penalties. So the FCC is looking at this question of really what is appropriate content to take down, or what is appropriate content to regulate or to take action on. And the FTC is then going to see if, here are the rules that the platforms have stated, and did they not follow those rules? Both of these things are going to help protect producers. And, as we spoke about on the show with Tim O'Reilly, producers and creators in this case are the first ones that get taken advantage of. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.